Cars are getting ready to go for the first race of the day, and the two race winners from Croft in 2003 are on the front row for round 16 of the 2004 Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship. But Reid and Matt Neal have not been the best of mates on circuit this year. Championship leader Ivan Muller starts third with a car 18 kilos lighter than Thompson's alongside. Rob Huff is fifth for Seat Sports, and Tom Chilton is sixth in the Team Honda Civic. Dan Eaves lines up seventh with Colin Turkington, the winner of race 3 in Mondello, carrying full ballast from 8th. Jason Plato starts 9th with the second Seat Toledo. James Kay is 10th in his Synchros Motorsports Civic. Then it's Luke Hines, who's had to qualify a heavily ballasted Astra, and Stefan Hodgetts in the first of the team's short-term entries. Michael Bentwood is 13th from Charlie Butler-Henderson, making a welcome return. Sean Watson-Smith is 15th ahead of Carl Breeze in the solitary Alfa Romeo. Reigning Independence champion Rob Collard is 17th, Jason Hughes is 18th, and at the back we've got John George and Richard Marsh. So the car's all set to go then, and it's Anthony Reid starting from his first pole position of the year. Can he convert it into his first victory? Away he goes, a good start from him. Everyone gets away cleanly. Matt Neal trying to chase Anthony Reid down towards the first corner at Clairvaux. This is where it all funnels down. It gets pretty narrow. Matt Neal coming through in second. Thompson though, going around the outside. That's a brave move. Ivan Muller's right behind Thompson sideways, and everybody now trying to thread their way through. Off to the side goes Michael Bentwood. He was on the grass, and I think Tom Chilton was in trouble as well. He went through the gravel trap. Up front, a fantastic start from Anthony Reid, but I think that Ivan Muller has gained. Yes, he has. He's into second because of Matt Neal and James Thompson just coming together. Dan Eaves is next, and he's followed by the two Seats of Rob Huff and Jason Plato.
Everybody's wary of that first corner, especially Muller, as he was dumped in the gravel there last year, and just when it looked like they'd all got through, this is on board with Matt Neal, and you can see alongside him Anthony Reid. Matt is quite cautious going into this first corner, desperate to make sure he doesn't go off. Gets it round the corner fine, but just in front of him to the left, there's James Thompson, and they touch. That leaves the door wide open for the opportunist Muller. Doesn't need a second invitation. He's straight through on the inside up to second.
Now this is the view from further back, very Harriman. There was a little bit of barging going on in the midfield as well here. Let's see if we can spot anything, because Michael Bentwood suddenly got turned around and shot out to the side. Harriman himself had to go the wrong side of the tyres. So there was some chaos, but thankfully not too much damage, although it looks like Tom Chilton has picked up a puncture on the front left, and that spells the end of any decent results in this first race of the day for him. He's making his way back to the pits. Anthony Reid, though, leads this one from Ivan Muller in second place, Matt Neal in third, then James Thompson and Dan Eaves. And at the moment, I have to say, Anthony Reid driving well, pulling away slightly from the Vauxhall. It was an excellent pole position by just a few hundredths from Matt Neal in qualifying. He seems to have the measure of Ivan Muller.
He certainly does. The Vauxhall slightly off the pace this weekend, some 3/10 off the pole time. And here comes Chilton in for his pit stop.
Yeah, so the Arena Motorsport boys go to work here. It's just that front left that they've got to change. So this should be fairly quick, but of course, the pace of touring car racing means that one pit stop and you're out of the running. Anthony Reid is in front of the running at the moment, hoping to get his first win of the season. Muller and Neal come through. Thompson dropping back a little bit. He's chased by Dan Eaves. But look at this, Colin Turkington getting down the inside there of Jason Plato. Plato not perhaps fighting that as hard as he might.
Well, already we're seeing Jason Plato playing that tactical game. Looks like he's going to do what we've seen him do before so successfully, and that's drop back to about 9th or 10th place to start on pole or the front row for the second race.
No such thoughts from Anthony Reid, and for WSR, his team, they're concentrating on taking a win. And also there's Colin Turkington, his teammate, now ahead of Jason Plato. I wonder whether the man who won in Ireland last time out in Mondello can move further up the order. The top three come through the hairpin. There's Thompson, and Eaves has just been passed by Rob Huff. Good move that from Rob Huff, just up the inside.
Well, Dan Eaves obviously wasn't looking in his mirrors there. He left the door wide open for Rob Huff, and there was not even a hint of any contact there, which makes a change. And as we see Charlie Butler-Henderson trying to get past Sean Watson-Smith with the obligatory touring car contact, but Dan got caught napping there.
Now look at this battle for second place, because Matt Neal and Ivan Muller, they've had some good races so far this year for position, and Matt Neal just behind the Frenchman as the Frenchman just locks a break into Sunny In, as it's known. Sunny In and Sunny Out, these two tricky right-handers.
The camera angle is deceptive there. The cars are braking whilst turning to the right, so you see those puffs of smoke for the inside wheels, and it's hard to get the car slowed down.
Into the pits comes Charlie Butler-Henderson. Well, there didn't seem to be any damage done in that dice with Sean Watson-Smith, but obviously something's gone wrong with the car. Meanwhile, Anthony Reid pulling away very slightly from Ivan Muller. It's really Muller having to keep an eye on his mirrors, because Matt Neal is right behind. And don't forget, Matt Neal did have a win here at Croft last year, but look at Thompson. That's a bit of a surprise to me, Tim. Thompson can't keep up with this top three.
Thompson is slightly heavier than the front three, but we saw him have problems with his race pace at Montello, and this is the last place that he wanted to be going slowly.
Charlie Butler-Henderson discussing with the team. It's a gearbox problem we hear that's put him out of this race. Rob Collard and James Kay are having their own dice as they come through Clairvaux into Hawthorne, this long sweeping right-hander that leads up to the very fast chicane where it's all too easy to hit the tyres, and a separate dice going on between Jason Hughes and Sean Watson-Smith here, as Sean Watson-Smith looking to try and get past the Privateer MG that had a good 7th place last time out. Now, Anthony Reid, the car just bobbling around a little bit as he comes into Sunny Inn, but he has got no worries from behind him. And at last, perhaps we're going to see Anthony Reid's first win of the season.
Yes, this will back up his teammates' victory in the last race at Mondello. West Surrey Racing have done a lot of work with that car, and particularly John Judd on the engine. Further back this battle going down to the wire as they approach Sunny.
Yeah, James Kay behind Rob Collard, and he's getting a bit closer, goes for it down the inside, hits Collard. Well, he takes Collard off, and Kay, oh, he doesn't seem to be able to stop. Oh, bang, into the barrier on the outside there. And the Yorkshireman Kay on home turf here, didn't work for it.
No, I think James got his just desserts there. He's not really got an overlap, but run into the side of Rob, and I think he's broken the left front suspension, which is why the car won't stop.
And he seems to be struggling now.
Get his steering off. We should clip me. There.
Poor bloke can't even get out of his car. Well, there you go. It's not proving to be a very good day for James Kay, even if it's not far from home here at Croft Circuit. Matt Neal still in 3rd place. He's dropped away just a little bit from Ivan Muller.
Yes, Muller, the opportunist, picked up that 2nd place, much to the annoyance probably of James Thompson, but James further back in 4th, doesn't have the pace. Oh, Matt Neal's locked up and gone wide. Has he got a puncture, or has he just locked up and gone wide? This is the last lap. Where's Thompson? Can Thompson snatch by and get that 3rd podium?
I don't think he can, no. Matt Neal's rejoined. It's such a big gap back to James Thompson that Matt Neal's been able to go off circuit, get back on again, and still hold on to 3rd place. Anthony Reid has shown the pace in qualifying, and he's shown the pace in this race as well. He's pulled away, he got the start, and he's taken advantage of it ever since, getting through some of the back markers now, lapping slower cars, but that's not proving to be too much of a problem, and Ivan Muller should be far enough back. There he is, just going past Tom Chilton, who had to change the tyre right at the start of this race, so he's not been playing part of it, I'm afraid. Reid now coming up to the last hairpin, the tightest corner, and it's going to be his first win of the season. He's been very consistent. He's been on the podium just about at every event so far this year, but it's about time that we saw Anthony win one, and he does so here at Croft, where he won last year. Ivan Muller finishes in 2nd place, and Matt Neal, despite that off on the final lap, finishes in 3rd. Thompson in 4th place, and Rob Huff, a good, strong 5th position for him. Ivan Muller earns his 11th top 3 finish of the season, and Matt Neal ensures 3 manufacturers are represented at the sharp end. Thompson lost 4 points to Muller, but he'll have a lighter car in the next race. Rob Huff will start in the middle of the top 10. Jason Plato dropped to 9th to make sure of a front row start, a position that proved very useful to Anthony Reid in race 1. Stefan Hodgetts started racing karts when he was just 4 years old, so his confidence should not be misplaced, but Jason Plater is a former touring car champion and a double race winner this year. Luke Hines has a lightweight VX Racing Astra in 3rd, Dan Eves starts 4th, and there's another pair of next generation drivers on the 3rd row with Colin Turkington and Rob Huff. James Thompson has an opportunity to close the points gap to Muller, but the more heavily ballasted trio of Matt Neal, Muller himself and Anthony Reid could struggle to make headway on a circuit which rewards nimbleness. Carl Breeze and Jason Hughes are on row 6 to be chased by the Proton of Sean Watson-Smith and the VXR Junior entry of Michael Bentwood. Another Astra in the hands of Rob Collard and the 2nd Proton of Farik Harriman are on row 8, but towards the back, keep an eye on the progress of Tom Chilton, who suffered a puncture earlier today, and the pair who failed to finish race 1, James Kay and Charlie Butler-Henderson. Stefan Hodgetts then with a tremendous opportunity to lead for the first time in touring cars if he gets off the line well. Well, initially he makes a surge. Luke Hines is stuck though from the 2nd row. Luke Hines does not get going. Stefan Hodgetts has been passed on the run down to the 1st corner. Oh, where's Jason Hughes going? Completely different direction to the 1st corner to everyone else. And into the corner, and Hodgetts is off. Hodgetts in the gravel trap. Oh, it's all gone disastrously wrong for him. Into the 1st corner from pole position. He's in the gravel. It's Jason Plato that leads this race. Surprise, surprise there, I suppose. Tom Chilton getting sideways in the middle of the pack. But Stefan Hodgetts is out already, and it's Plato who leads. It's Dan Eves in 2nd and Rob Huff in 3rd. when trying to come past if possible.
Well, a disastrous start for Stefan Hodgetts. He bogged down on the line, and behind him Luke Hines stalled altogether, and then to add insult to injury, he got turfed off on the line. There we see it on the line. Not enough revs, too much clutch, and the engine bogs down. He was lucky he didn't stall. Moving down into the first corner, he's been swamped left, right and centre. Thompson on his right. He tries to come in and someone whacks him up the back, turns him round. One of the Halfords cards in the mix as well.
Yeah, this is the view once again from the first corner. We saw Jason Hughes shoot out, but Jason Plato had the lead into the corner, and then suddenly from that mid-pack, Stefan Hodgetts shot out sideways into the gravel trap. And sadly, there's no getting out of that gravel trap. As you can see, front-wheel drive, and gravel doesn't really work. The thing that does work is a tractor. That's pulling him out of the way as the leaders come around at the end of their first lap. Yellow flags flying, so no overtaking allowed at that point. It's Jason Plato from Dan Eves, Rob Huff, James Thompson. Then it's Ivan Muller with Matt Neal directly behind him. And then the two MGs, Colin Turkington and Anthony Reid, the winner of race one, not really making any progress yet.
Through the flat-out chicane, and look at the speed that Dan Eves' Honda's got. Tremendous speed through that chicane, but the Seats are very quick on the straight, and Plato just pulls away from him, and Rob Huff is along the outside of him.
Yeah, look at this. Rob Huff trying to go around the outside of the tower corner, the right-hander, and he's got just a little bit of an edge here. We're watching from on board James Thompson, who's directly behind the two, but now coming up to the left-hand part of the S's, and Rob Huff's through. So he's into second place. Dan Eves demoted to third, and now James Thompson will try, I'm sure, to put some pressure on Dan Eves and perhaps nip through on the approach to Sonny here. Well, he's not quite close enough. It's very difficult to get alongside somebody there, and he tucks in behind Dan Eves and holds on to fourth place. Into the pits has come Rob Collard, and obviously some sort of mechanical failure there. The team having a good look around, but he's not back on his way. Rob Huff very sideways there, coming into the hairpin, still in second place, ahead of Dan Eves. And look at Matt Neal and Ivan Muller just behind. They're rubbing doors once again, and look at the damage to both cars. Both their left front wings are damaged. In Matt Neal's case, it's missing altogether.
It happens frequently on the Hondas, but it never seems to affect their performance. But Muller outbrakes Neal on the way to the corner, and Neal gets a tap from Turkington as he turns it. Well saved, but Turkington's still fighting back on the inside.
Absolutely, he's a feisty racer, isn't he, Turkington? Trying to get back through, and he is back past Matt Neal. And I think Matt will look at that and say, wait, you gave me the tap on the way in then. The least you could have done is let me have the place back. But Colin is fired up. Plato comes through tower, Huff now in second place, and still Matt Neal, and now Anthony Reid. Well, he's got one MG gone past him. He does not want to let the second one through if possible. Let's just take another look at that.
Three of the hardest charges on the grid, and Turkington just trying to seize the gap there, but tags the back of Matt Neal's car, who then runs a little wide in the chicane, and Turkington's back alongside him. But a shrug of disbelief as further gearbox problems prevent Rob Collard from finishing.
Leaders cross the line again. It's Plato from Huff, then Dan Eves in a strong third place, Thompson in fourth, Ivan Muller in fifth place, and then sixth place, it is just Colin Turkington still from Matt Neal. They had their moments last time around, but Turkington's got the advantage. Anthony Reid still pushing hard, but he doesn't seem to show the sort of pace that we saw in race one, although his lap times actually are looking very strong, but he can't get away through the traffic, and I don't think a second win is on the cards, at least in race two of the day. The two Seats are very much in control, but Dan Eves, don't forget, he's won a race so far this year. That was at Alton Park earlier this season. Here comes his teammate, Matt Neal, getting back down the inside of Colin Turkington, but I think he's gone in a bit too fast, and Turkington should be able to repass him, yes, on the exit.
Well, Matt Neal hasn't forgiven Turkington for that tap that gained him the place, and he's desperately trying to get it back, but he just outbraked himself a little bit there, but there's plenty more places for Matt to have a go.
Jason Hughes out, I'm afraid. Steam pouring from the front of his privateer MG. But look at Ivan Muller, because he's now being attacked by both Colin Turkington and Matt Neal, and there's nothing to choose between them. And Turkington really has looked the strongest out there of this lead group. He's been able to get past Matt Neal. Can he now find a way past the reigning champion? Up towards the hairpin. This is a potential overtaking spot, of course, if he can nip up the inside, but Muller just places his car in the right place, and in fact Turkington, oh, he's been caught out by Matt Neal.
Well, Neal got his opportunity there with Turkington trying to set Muller up on the exit, leaving the door wide open, so its positions back to the way they were, but one of the Protons, that's Farik Harriman retiring, I'm afraid.
Yes, another retirement for the Malaysian, driving the Proton Impian, so a sad way to end this race. But let's get back to what's going on with Ivan Muller and Matt Neal. And despite the damage to their cars, they're still going very quickly indeed. They're not quite on the terms of the top three. Thompson a rather lonely fourth place. Not much he can do about that top three, as locking brakes is Anthony Reid, and he's got to watch out because that's his teammate Colin Turkington who's right in front of him. Doesn't want to take him off.
No, but impressive praise from Reid, carrying maximum ballast after his first race victory. MG's looking very strong this weekend.
Yes, I think the break has allowed them to get some engine development done. Look at the view back from Yvan Muller, and Muller's gone a little bit wide here, has he? This could be a chance for Matt Neal to get past the Frenchman. I think he has got alongside, and in fact Turkington's going to try and take advantage too. Not quite able to on the exit of Sunny out. Look there, it is Matt Neal ahead of Yvan Muller, but Muller's still got Turkington trying to brave it round the outside into the S's. No way there, I'm afraid, not unless you're going to end up on the grass, and Turkington's sensible enough to know that. The best thing for him to do is to try and attack on the inside of the hairpin, but no, Muller's got that covered too. Not
often you see the champion Yvan Muller outside by pressure, but Matt Neal put the pressure on down through Barcroft into Sunny. Muller had just a fraction wide, and that was all the invitation Neal needed to nip through.
Rob Huff still holding second place. It's Jason Plato who leads this race. A 1-2 on the cards here for Sayat. What a strong result that would be for them. The MGs also running in tandem, but not quite so well up, I'm afraid, as Turkington keeps trying to get past Yvan Muller.
Sayat, of course, had that 1-2 at Mondello, but it was disallowed afterwards, with Rob Huff being excluded for pushing out Bentwood, so this would be the first real 1-2, and what a result it would be for Sayat.
Still Turkington looking for a way past Muller, and here comes Reid once more, trying to get alongside Turkington. In fact, he has just managed it, and we're looking back from Yvan Muller's cars. They accelerate now up to 90, 100 miles an hour, and they're banging door handles again. The two teammates for MG, for WSR, but somehow they managed to sort out who goes through the corner first, and it's still Turkington with the edge over Anthony Reid. But into the last corner of the last lap, and it's Jason Plato who is indeed going to lead home as Sayat 1-2. What a fantastic result for the team. Their first season in British touring cars. That is Jason's third win of the season, and it's a 1-2 to back it up. Dan Eaves finishes third, James Thompson's fourth, ahead of Matt Neal. Jason, I don't know if you can hear us. This is Ben in the commentary box. Many congratulations, a great drive.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I don't know what I can say. I mean, you know, the guys in the Sayat Sport UK team are doing just the most fantastic job for both me and Rob this year. And, you know, we're arriving at circuits without any data, no information, and yet we keep improving our car. And maybe we should call the second race the Sayat race. But yeah, over the moon. Great result.
Jason Plato has now won as many races as James Thompson in this year's championship, and Rob Huff has matched his best finish so far. Dan Eaves visits the podium for the third time this year, but Thompson will be disappointed at not putting more cars between himself and Muller. Reid was unable to overcome the double whammy of 10th on the grid and maximum ballast, and wound up 8th despite fastest lap, while Sean Watson-Smith completed the top 10. Round 18 of the Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship features two Sayats on the front row for the first time in the history of the championship. The Toledos of Plato and Huff are now carrying heavy ballast, whilst the Honda of Eaves and the Vauxhall of Thompson are a little less weighed down. Fifth place Matt Neal won here last year. Yvan Muller's hoping to protect his 5-point advantage, while the two MGs are hoping to convert their rapid pace into strong finishing positions. Tom Chilton climbed from 19th to 9th in race 2. Sean Watson-Smith always races hard, and on row 6, Michael Bentwood has Harrogate local James Kay to contend with. Carl Breeze and Luke Hines have won here at Croft in the past in Formula Renault and production class touring cars respectively. Butler Henderson and Richard Marsh just want solid finishes. Stefan Hodgetts has made it onto the back of the grid, but Jason Hughes is missing after he lost a wheel. So the two Sayats now hoping to make the break in the third race of the day, as they did in race 2. The lights go out, and it's a very even start between both Jason Plato and Rob Huff. Everyone else gets away cleanly too, but who's going to lead into the first corner? Clervaux. As we look at it, Jason Plato on the left, Rob Huff on the right, side by side turning in. Rob Huff goes around the outside, gets in front of Plato. Plato defending second place from James Thompson. Yvan Muller also trying to go through as Carl Breeze gets into trouble through the gravel, but I think he might be able to rejoin. Muller was trying to go around the outside of one of the Hondas there at Hawthorne, but I don't think he quite managed to do it. And it all means that Rob Huff is our race leader. Can Rob aim for his first win in touring cars? As he said early on, just look at this bunch though, ganging up on Matt Neal. It's Colin Turkington and Anthony Reid with Sean Watson-Smith and Tom Chilton all playing the game.
Well, we've seen accidents at the first corner in every race so far, so that was either a very good move by Rob Huff or a tactical decision by Seat to avoid any accidents.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll find out later. On board now with Tom Chilton. He's just gone past Sean Watson-Smith, turns into Sonny in. Oh, he got it all sideways there. Big moment there. Oh, and Watson-Smith comes through as one of the marker posts goes flying. And also in trouble there, Stefan Hodgetts. Well, I think he might have lost a wheel again. And also his teammate, Charlie Butler-Henderson's got a puncture to the left front, so we've lost those two Team Sure-Term cars on the first lap. That's what happened to Charlie Butler-Henderson. He tangled with James Kay.
Well, disaster for Team Sure-Term with both cars out on this first lap, and there's a very disgruntled Charlie walking back to the pits, but the contact with James Kay was what resulted in the puncture. Here's Thompson up front, looking for a possible way past Plato, putting Plato under a lot of pressure, but getting turned around himself.
Yeah, it's Dan Eves trying to get past him, and Dan looking pretty aggressive in his attempts there, but he's got to be careful because Ivan Muller now is on his outside. So the Vauxhalls, which have not featured as strongly here at Croft as we've seen elsewhere, now beginning to attack, and Muller's got round the outside of Dan Eves. He's into fourth place.
That was a good move by Muller. It's not easy to get round the outside there. Eves must have given him a little bit of racing room while he just felt for his car to make sure it was okay after that contact with Thompson.
Now, are the Vauxhalls going to go after those Seats and really begin to make a fight of it? Because Rob Huff is breaking away from his teammate Jason Plato. Then there's a little get back to Thompson and Ivan Muller. Oh, and a bang there on the side of their Matt Neal's car from Colin Turkington as Turkington squeezes through, and Matt Neal's got Anthony Reid right behind, and damage, I'm afraid, to the front of Farik Karaman's car. Let's see what happens.
Farik's run wide here at Tower and got on the grass. He's got James Kay alongside him. The car bounces over the uneven grass and the front splitter digs in, rips the spoiler underneath it. But it's the Vauxhalls and the MGs now running lighter in this race that should be able to hunt down the Seats, ballasted up after their success in race 2.
Colin Turkington won race 3 at Mondello last time out. We're riding on board with the Irishman now. I wonder if he's going to move up the order. That car's looking very stable. Oh, but he's hit Dan Eves. Well, he clouts the rear quarter of Dan Eves' car. Dan had no chance at all.
Well, this is on board with Dan, and he's already turning into the corner when he gets hit, and absolutely a passenger there. And Turkington really committed to the inside, but nowhere near getting an overlap. And I'm afraid, Colin, that's going to be a fine at the very least, if not anything more.
Matt Neal also got past him, but look at Thompson putting Plato under pressure here now for second.
Who the f*** is that behind pushing me like a idiot? Tell Rob to sort this out, otherwise I'm going to get off here.
Jason, it's Mark. We are telling Rob to slow down. He should open the door for you at the hairpin the next time. Should open the door for the hairpin next time.
Interesting stuff going on here, Tim. The Seat team working hard.
That's Mark Busfield on the radio and Eddie Hinkley, the engineer, working out some team tactics. And what a shame for Rob Huff, who's got a good lead, and Jason Plato not fancying making a race of it, wants some help.
Now look at this, Tom Chilton just running into the back. Well, I think he got hit by Anthony Reid perhaps there. I don't know if there was contact or not on the way in for Chilton, but this is a three-way dice that's been going on for a couple of laps now. Sean Watson-Smith, Anthony Reid, look at how tatty the front end of that MG's looking, and Tom Chilton right behind. There, however, is Jason Plato getting a little closer to the back of Rob Huff. Now, I wonder if Rob is going to let him through. As we gather, he's been requested. Not easy to do that here at Croft. Up towards the hairpin, yes, he's left the door wide open, but he's got to be careful because Thompson might go through into second. And as they come out side by side, Rob's got to try and fend off Thompson. He does just do it.
Well, Huff giving up that place, that hard-earned lead that he had, and he knew if he stayed wide, he'd have the right-hand side for this first corner and be fairly safe, but he's now going to have to do the job of defending the back of Jason Plato's car.
Yes, and Ivan Muller lost out there. Look, both Matt Neal and Turkington have got past him. This is what happened. There was a bit of a nerf as they came round the hairpin, on board with Matt Neal. He went down one side. I think Colin Turkington was going down the other side at the same moment, and that means that Ivan Muller's gone from 4th to 6th.
That's the slowest corner in British motorsport, and the ideal line is quite wide, but you can see the danger of doing that. It opens the door up to a little nudge or an overtake on the inside.
So Jason Plato now leads this race. Rob Huff obeying team orders, dropping back to second place. But he's got to watch out because James Thompson's not far away, and this is the man on the move. Again, it's Colin Turkington. Now remember, when he was behind the other orange Honda of Dan Eves, he gave it a little bit of a nerve down at this section of track. I wonder if we're going to see a repeat performance as they come through Barcroft. Then on the brakes, the car's unstable. But that MG, I have to say, doesn't look unstable. It looks fantastic through there.
Well, Turkington very nearly giving the same dose of treatment to Matt Neal that he gave to Eves. But you're right, the MG looks super stable through those turns and twists and on the brakes.
Now we're riding with Tom Chilton once again. Anthony Reid trying to attack Sean Watson-Smith, gets down the inside. Watson-Smith cuts back on the inside himself, and they slow each other down, giving Tom Chilton a great run here out of Tab. But where can he go? They're coming up towards the S's. The road is filled with Reid and with Watson-Smith, and Tom tries to go around the outside. No way!
There was never a way through there, and poor Tom's now ended up out on the dirt, running on all the marbles. He'll have muck all over his tyres. He should have held back and tried to get a run at Watson-Smith after the S's.
So Tom Chilton perhaps getting a little lesson from two very experienced touring car campaigners. Reid with the damage to the front of his car, but still going quickly. Take another look.
Yes, Chilton finds himself with no way to get to the apex at the second part and has to run out wide, and it's very rough out there with a lot of debris, so his tyres are now dirty and he'll lose grip.
Matt Neal under pressure still from Colin Turkington. Ivan Muller, who lost those 2 places earlier on, still keeping on terms with them. Turkington there. Oh, and Matt Neal's in trouble. That was why Turkington suddenly had to move out the way. Matt Neal slowing down, and he's coasting off to the side of the circuit, offline, onto the grass, to the nearest marshal's post. And that looks like a pretty catastrophic failure of something on the car. His dad looks at the monitor. It's all over for Matt Neal.
Yes, Father Steve with a Paddington hard stare at the monitor there as he sees his car retire, but so not going to be the day for Team CompuTeach with Halfords. But back to Kirkington. Look how stable that car looks on the brakes, and now he's putting Thompson under pressure. Thompson's run wide.
Oh, that's not something you see too often. James Thompson, a slight mistake. He just didn't quite have the stability with the car through the far section. Turkington takes advantage. Oh, Thompson trying to come back at him at the S's. No way through there, and Turkington therefore is up into 3rd place. Now that we've lost Matt Neal, it means that Thompson is 4th and Ivan Muller is 5th. So from Thompson's point of view, the championship, he'll be sorry to have lost Matt Neal from that. It was a good buffer.
Here's the replay. Pressure brought to bear on Thompson through the fast series of corners, and he just runs out wide, opens the door nicely to Turkington.
The MG's on the move. Get Rob to just back a bit, give me a couple of seconds.
Jason Plato on the radio again, and just asking the team to ask Rob Huff to drop back and give him a bit of help so that Turkington doesn't get too close. Jason certainly got this one under control, hasn't he? We're on board with Tom Chilton once more in the Honda Civic, and still Anthony Reid and Sean Watson-Smith lie just ahead of him. Luke Hines is behind him. Poor old Luke Hines, who stalled at the start of the second race, and really the race weekend's gone wrong from there, and Chilton suddenly making a lunge for it. Hits Sean Watson-Smith.
Well, we've seen it so many times at that corner, but that one was never on, and it looked like a lock-up from Tom Chilton trying to get the car stopped. We've seen him lock his brakes up a little bit before. Maybe he's got too much brakes on the front, but he was never going to get past. Here we see it. Dives up the inside, locks the brakes up twice, and then hits Watson-Smith, who does well to save it.
So bruising encounter between those 3 cars all race long, but look at Jason Plato and Rob Huff, who's obeyed team orders. Look, he has dropped away from Jason Plato, and he's now busy trying to defend from Colin Turkington, and Huff gets sideways. Good car control, but is he going to hold 2nd place, or is Colin Turkington going to snatch 2nd? He's very close to it.
Well, poor Rob Huff, you've got to feel for him. He had a big lead. He gave up his 1st place for Plato. Now he's had to drop back and incur the wrath of Turkington. I think he should get Plato's bonus money this race.
Well, Turkington's running out of opportunities to get past Rob Huff, because we're into the closing stages now, and as long as Huff defends into the hairpin, he should hold on to 2nd. It looks like we're going to be on for another Seat 1-2.
Here we come again! Well done, everyone! Yeah!
And Jason Plato is delighted, as he has every right to be. What great teamwork this weekend we've seen from Seat Sport UK. And Colin Turkington had to settle for 3rd. Plato becomes the first driver this year to win 2 races at the same event, and surely his race 1 tactics will soon be copied by others. Rob Huff has enjoyed his most successful weekend of the series, and Thompson reduced his points deficit to Muller by 2. Anthony Reid took fastest lap for the 3rd time in 3 races, but collected just 6 points.
Great result, and that makes up a little bit for Mondello, where technically I had the third race in the bag, and the safety car came out. I mean, it's just one of those things. Those things happen. But today, we had the pace and we worked very well, and all the engineers did a great job on my car. It was improved again in the third race, and yeah, it's a cracking team, is Say Sport UK.
Jason helped me out a lot by sacrificing at the first corner for me. You know, we had had a bit of a plan that, you know, if we got even starts off the grid, then he'd just hold back a little bit, let me through, and then obviously the favour was returned a little bit later.
The car was really strong, just as Anthony's was in the first race, so it took some time to get past some of the Hondas, and I just unfortunately got onto the tail of the 2C8 guys a lap or two too late, but third's good. I'm pleased with that.
The seesaw scenario continues. After 3 hard-fought races, Thompson closed on Muller by just 1 point. Anthony Reid had expected more after his scintillating pace in qualifying, but his nearest challenger for third is no longer Matt Neal, it's Jason Plato. In the team's championship, the top 2 cars from each team score, and that means Say Sport UK took the team honours at Croft and moved ahead of Computech Racing with Halfords for third. Despite the 2 wins, Seat were outscored at Croft by Vauxhall in the manufacturers because they have 3 cars contributing to their tally as opposed to Seat's 2 cars. In the Harriers Euros Independent Trophy, Anthony Reid and Colin Turkington scored the same number of points over the 3 races, and they remain 1 and 2 in the class, with Matt Neal and Dan Eves 3rd and 4th.